Look at Decker's run. Here's a stock that used to be one of the hottest growth names around until it was absolutely eviscerated in 2012. But over the last couple of years, the creator of UGG Boots has been making a monster comeback. Decker's is now up 154% from its lows in January of last year, and once again, the stock is on fire. The company's been rolling out new products galore, including home products, an inexpensive teen line, and an amazing running shoe. Their most recent quarter report at the end of July was downright spectacular. Just a gigantic earnings and revenue beat, with management handily raising its full-year guidance. So, can Decker's keep climbing? Earlier today, I got a chance to check in with Martinez, the chairman, president, and CEO of Decker's, at their store on Madison and 58th Street in New York City. Take a look. Angel, you rang the bell today. It's all now about Decker's brands. But it is not just a name. There's a revolution going on underneath.
Huge revolution, Jim. For the last several years, we've made a quantum leap as a company. You know, a couple of years ago, we were still a wholesale vendor. And at that point, we began the process of reinventing our business and saying to ourselves, who is in the middle? Who is the most important player in our business? It's the consumer. And the consumer has to be smack in the middle of everything we do. Not the buyer from a department store, but the consumer. So omnichannel for us is a reinvention, and it says the consumer's in the middle. They want to access our brands when they want, how they want, and where they want. And our job is to make that as easy as humanly possible.
Now, there's also been a perception of, okay, woman's brand, maybe played out, maybe not. People are going to see a commercial this weekend involving a player that everyone knows, Tom Brady. I happen to have seen the commercial. It is a bit of a tearjerker. But this makes a statement about UGG's men.
Well, it makes a statement about UGG in total, which is that relationships matter. The UGG relationship with our consumers is hugely important, the most important thing. And we were privileged to get a little peek at the relationship Tom has with his mom and his dad, which is it's just amazing. And that tells you sort of the depth of the relationship that Tom feels for our brand. But more importantly, what it does is it highlights the things in life that are most important.
I think it'll be the blowaway ad for the first weekend in the NFL. I got in my hand a shoe. Some of us were runners. We miss it every minute. With going through Runner's World, just kind of nostalgically, I'm reading about runners who are back because there is an unmet need for a shoe for those of us who, because of our knees, haven't been able to run. This is revolutionary, too.
It is a revolution. For quite a few years, there was a movement in running called minimalist. You know, so people thought that the less was more. Well, I think people discovered that less is also very painful. And the most important thing to a runner is to keep running. And what we're finding from our Hoka brand, that runners tell us every single day, Hoka allows me to keep running. The amount of cushioning and the weight, it's twice the cushioning and half the weight. It was developed by ultra-marathon runners. I mean, these are the people who run 100-mile trail races.
And I think it's important. These are not claims that you're making. It's Runner's World people who make me feel like after a 15-year absence to run, I got to give it a shot again.
Well, the other important thing, I think, is that when you look at the running market, so the running market globally is about $14 billion. So it's a big business. And last time I checked, a good strategy to bring consumers in is to not make it harder to access. So the golf industry didn't decide to include more golfers by making club heads smaller. Right. Tennis rackets didn't get smaller. You know, skis didn't get skinnier. And by making running shoes so minimalist that really it kind of hurt. What you were doing was keeping runners out of running. Our goal with Hoka is to bring more runners to running. Right. If you bring more runners to running, we're going to grow the market. And growing the market is the most important thing for us to do as a company.
Now, some people might say that we're talking too much about what is last year 16% of the company. But what you've been doing that I can detect is to come up with shoes that meet unmet needs right. in the revolutionary way you've always done in your career.
Well, I think I'm a big believer in function. You know, fashion's important, but I don't want to rely 100% on fashion. Fashion is very temporal. But function is something that people, once you get used to the way something feels like UGG, feels like nothing else, once that's on your foot, once it's in your closet, it'll always be in your closet.
Now, there's also a revolution going on in technology in the industry. We all know the notion of showrooming. When I go through your conference call, I read about a term called web rooming.
Web rooming. It works in tandem with showrooming. Showrooming is when a consumer researches a product, in your store and then goes and buys it on the web. Web rooming is when they research it on the web and then go and buy it in the store. In the case of the footwear industry, web rooming is actually very important because we want in footwear to have a visceral experience with the brand and the products. So you can look at UGG online all you want, but trying them on in the store is a whole nother story altogether, and that's where it all comes together. It's really an experience-based process. We like to talk about our business in three buckets. You know, first is connection, second is experience, and third is relationship, and in that order. So the first thing is to connect with the consumer via reasons that they may have for the functional benefits. The second is to experience a product by either running in it or coming into our UGG store. And then the third and the most powerful thing is to have a long-term relationship with consumers because they value what you're bringing them and it enhances their lives.
All right, now let's speak here and now. Last night we had Manny Chirico, the excellent CEO from PVH on. He said, gee, something's happening. We're having a strong back-to-school season. I detect from the analyst notes that this is happening for Deckers, too.
Well, we like the direction we're moving in with our products. The innovation that we're bringing to the mix is really extraordinary. I've never seen anything like it. I've been in this business now 36 years, and I think we have become a very powerful innovation machine. We are, I think, fashion right, but more importantly, functionally, our products are just getting better and better and better. Things like UGG Pure have allowed us to evolve our UGG brand and take it in directions we weren't able to go before. And that's been a huge, you know, I Heart UGG emerged right out of that. So it's I think bodes well for the next, for this season and years to come.
Now, when I think of brands, I also see an unmet need, yoga. I think yoga is gigantic. We know from Lulu. Now, Lulu may have lost its way, but you seem to have been pioneering a new way.
Well, we've got this little Anu brand. And Anu is a brand that it now has 1,200 yoga instructors in the U.S. that are real fans of the brand. And a yoga instructor, you know, they tend to educate their students about which mat to use and which shoe to wear, and it becomes part of the yoga lifestyle. And we're developing a concept as now a lot of yoga studios are having their hygienic issues surfacing. So people are starting to wear some sort of foot covering in the yoga class. And we've got a product coming for that that's, I think, quite revolutionary.
When I go to the UGG website, don't want to lose sight of the flagship, I see lots of different kind of shoes, and I say shoes, not boots.
Right.
It looks like that there is a revolution in that brand.
Well, the brand has emerged as a lifestyle brand. Right. In the broadest sense of the word, for men, for women, and for kids. Our men's business is up 140%, well, really, since we signed Tom Brady. Right. And that's been, men discover UGG through slippers and then suddenly find themselves in a pair of our boots and then in a pair of our shoes. So it evolves that way.
One last question. The Angel that I'm listening to today is on offense, not a wholesaler producing shoes, but someone, once again, really creating and setting the trend in footwear.
Well, I was a competitive runner for about 60 pounds ago, let's put it that way, and I always ran my races from the front, and that's the only place to be. I like the idea of our brands leading. I think our company, with our omnichannel strategy, is setting a tone and really defining the new wave that we're seeing in consumer relationships and in what is defined as retail. And I think it's a revolution in a huge way.
And I like getting in ahead of the revolution as someone who likes to recommend stocks because he knows where stocks could be going based on what we're just hearing. And that's Angel Martinez, Chairman, President, and CEO of Deckers Brands.